Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Computing outside, Classic Empire, head-to-head, down to the line. Cloud Computing wins the Preakness.
Reach the starting gate, it's post time. Cold front, Pedro comes forward. And they're into the stretch, cold front, put to the 10. Cold front does it again. Right in the field of the Amsterdam.
Buongiorno everybody, Saratoga today with Past the Wire, day 36 of the meet, rolling right along. We are in deep stretch. It's almost all over now. What can you say? Couple of days of racing left, but they are good days, exciting racing. Today we lost the grass races. There was a ton of rain from that hurricane last night in New York. Some friends of mine from New York sent me some videos and pictures. Looked absolutely brutal. They're already off the turf today at Saratoga. Hopefully they'll be back on for the rest of the meet, and we'll be able to get the last couple of days in without losing any of the grass races. Shout outs to our friends at Amwager, extremely innovative, top-notch ADW with, as I say every day, great tools for the better, including Dutching, which we spoke about yesterday. Check it out. It's just another way to attack some races. I think you'll like it. Our friends at Zilla Racing Stable, who have been making noise all meet at the Saratoga racetrack, and look to make some more noise today with Boldish in an off-the-turf race. The fifth race off the turf, a horse they claimed for $40,000 last time, in for $75,000 right off the claim. 2 weeks later. Linda Rice, and when you can claim a horse for $45,000, run back for $40,000, run back 2 weeks later at Saratoga for $75,000, and you're 2-1 on the morning line, you did something right. So we'll be rooting for Boldish in the fifth for our friends at Zilla, who have opportunities to be in on this horse, many others, every level of the game for anybody, all different budgets. And of course, our friends at Spendthrift Farm, who have just been hitting grand slams out of the park all year, every year for a long time. So what more can you say about Spendthrift Farm? Interesting day today, even with the races coming off the grass. It's the end of the meet after the Travers. Things kind of wind down up there. When I used to go for the whole meet after Travers, it was kind of like I was ready to get back home to Brooklyn. Some people want to stay up there forever, but I was always ready to get back to Brooklyn by this time. So be that as it may. Now, I don't know how I'd feel if I was up there. Probably want to stay, but there's also no place like home. So that goes both ways. It's a long meet nowadays. Interesting racing today. Even off the turf, I did like a horse quite a bit on the grass today. But I also like one quite a bit off the grass today, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. Prior to that, I will say that we are going to do more videos. We got a lot. Now, we got some feedback. It was all positive, though. So, people want more videos. We'll do more videos. I don't know about Kentucky Downs. Kentucky Downs is going to run Sunday and Monday, head up against Saratoga. Maybe I'll do one of the later days in the meet for Kentucky Downs, but I will do some of the big days at Belmont leading up to the Breeders' Cup, the Super Saturdays maybe. I'll do some of the big Saturdays at Gulfstream Park when I don't go over there. So I like to go to Gulfstream on some of those big Saturdays. Maybe I can do them before I head over there, but we'll see how that goes. But I will definitely do some on the days that I don't go. Breeders' Cup, I don't know what we're going to do yet. But tracking trips, we do have every day, all year, focusing on, the meets that I like to focus on, which are pretty much the major meets. And we're going to do some videos for the Tracking Trips members as well. So we've done that in the past. We're going to bring that back and do some of that. Another thing that I want to mention, Gate to Wire is Past the Wire's podcast. We changed the name of the podcast, or called it Gate to Wire, not our brand Past the Wire name, just to kind of differentiate a little bit from Past the Wire TV, PastTheWire.com, and it's our podcast is Gate to Wire. Great guest yesterday, Craig Milkowski, who does the figures for Timeform US, was with us. It'll be up on the website under the podcast video section, and it'll be on our podcast channel, Gate to Wire, on I think Spotify, Apple, Google, all the podcast places. It's up there, iTunes, whatever. You could catch it anywhere. But Craig is a great guest, and we talked about speed figures, how you make them, what they mean, the difference between raw figures and sheets and computer figures, and what goes into them and what they mean, and how to use them and how not to use them, and some of the issues in racing with run-ups and ground loss and race timing and things like that. And Craig is an advocate for the sport and for bettors, and trying to get these things corrected and identify where problems are. And he's got a good voice in the game, and a voice that people are listening to. I think it's one of our better podcasts. I think you'll really enjoy it. I encourage people to check it out. I don't think it's up yet, but it'll be up sometime this morning or by midday. So when you get a chance, bookmark that. You'll definitely want to catch Craig. Was a great guest, great show, very informative no matter what level of the game you're at. And if you're interested in speed figures and what goes into them and how to make them and use them and whatnot, I mean, even buyers, we talked about everything, you name it. We kind of touched on it and got into it, and just great podcast. Really, really, really good. I want to just talk about another little story before we get into a couple of spots on the card today that I think you may or may not find entertaining, but I'll try to be quick. A lot of people talk about Nick Zito and love to knock Nick Zito for some reason. I don't know why. The guy's got a resume that's pretty solid. Won 2 Kentucky Derbies, won a bunch of other big races, and has been winning big races for years and years and years. People don't realize that. He goes back a long way. Horses make trainers. Trainers don't make horses. He doesn't have the stock anymore that he used to have. The game changes, things change, lost a lot of owners. It's gotten older. But I don't think you forget how to train. You just don't have the horses that you had. I mean, he won 2 Kentucky Derbies, and, there's a lot of horses that coulda, woulda, shoulda won the Kentucky Derby and didn't. But if you watch the replay of Icebox in the Kentucky Derby, that horse was ham sandwiched at the 8th pole making a winning move. Zito might have 3 Kentucky Derbies on his resume, had Icebox not been ham sandwiched at the 8th pole under Jose Lezcano. So, you can knock him all you want. The guy's got a resume that most trainers would be rightfully envious of. And a funny story with Nick Zito, for me anyway, is, I spent every summer at Saratoga, from when I was a little kid up till when I was about maybe in my 30s, and then I moved to Florida, and then I only went back for a couple of weeks here and there, and Travis week or 2 weeks or whatever. And last year and this year I didn't go, but I practically grew up there every summer. That's where we stayed. But my dad was a mutual clerk. We didn't have a lot of money. We were just hardworking, regular family. I grew up in an apartment building in Brooklyn, and this one particular year, I was up at Saratoga, and my friend Joey will remember this. He watches these shows. I think he'll remember it. He certainly may remember the car, and he'll definitely remember the girl. But my girlfriend at the time was a beautiful girl, still to this day a very, very dear friend of mine. She was a couple of years older than I was. I was 17, 18 when we started, going out. But really a wonderful person, but absolutely could stop traffic cold on the thruway up at Saratoga or on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. Just beautiful girl. And, she was a couple of years older than I was. And we were up at Saratoga for the meet, which we used to do every year. And, I was driving a car that was a little humbling. Um, I believe it was in 1972, but don't quote me on the year, but it was right around there. It was after 72. It was probably the early 80s when this happened, but the car was a 1972 Plymouth Duster. It was gray with like a 3/4 white vinyl top, okay, two-door car. But what made this car very distinctive was a couple of things, okay? One was the passenger door was completely smashed in. Didn't open, okay? Didn't open or close. It was dented, smashed in, humongous dent in the door. And in order to keep it closed, I had to tie a rope. You do what you got to do around the little piece of leather that you hold to close. Well, it's probably vinyl that you close the door with. You reach your hand and you hold it and you close the door, and the door opening latch is behind that thing, but it's like a little handle that you use to close the door. Well, there was a rope tied around that to hold the door closed that was tied to the back of the headboard, that little headboard rest behind the driver's seat. So there was a thing of rope going like diagonal across, which worked out because you had to get in the car from the driver's side. It was a bench seat, slide under the rope, and you really didn't need a seatbelt because the rope functioned as a door holding closer and a seatbelt at the same time. So she would have to get in this car, slide under the rope, sit over there on this Plymouth Duster, and ride around Saratoga with yours truly. And that's just how it was. It was my car, man. What am I going to do? I wasn't proud of it, but it was my car. So how Nick Zito ties in the story is that particular day. Oh, and the other part of the car was I never really worried about running out of gas in this car because the floorboard on the driver's side had a big piece of cardboard, a flattened cardboard box over it that I would have to change after it rained a lot when it got wet. Because if you moved that cardboard away from the floorboard, you could see down to the road. There was like a hole in the bottom. So I always figured like I could be like Fred Flintstone and run with my feet and move the car if I ever ran out of gas. And back then, running out of gas was not out of the realm of possibilities. So I kind of liked that cardboard. But when it rained a lot for a couple of days, I used to have to change it out, find another cardboard box, flatten it, put it down because it would just get wet and just become a messy situation. But I had that car up at Saratoga, made the trip from Brooklyn, 4 hours each way. Was always worried it would never make it back. And one day, I'll get to that in a minute, but it made it up there, and I bet a horse at Saratoga named Mayanesian. Okay, fast horse. It was probably the Sanford Stakes or the Saratoga Special. I don't think it was the Hopeful because it wasn't the end of the meet. It was during the meet, but it was a horse named Mayanesian. I want to say broke from the outside, the 10 hole or the 11 hole, but broke from the outside with Jacinto Vasquez. Nice price. I want to say 9 or 10 to 1. Nick Zito horse, and I can't remember, but I think I liked the horse because he had that win over the track, was running back fast, that angle that I've spoken about that I like a lot. But anyway, I knew the horse was going to win, knew the horse was going to go wire to wire, made a big bet, made a nice score, and was actually thinking about buying another car up there maybe. But I remember that night to celebrate, we went to dinner at the Wishing Well, which I've been going to as far back as I could remember. And I remember, and she was a beautiful girl, so everybody used to look at her, and I was a couple of years younger, so everybody was always looking, and half the time I was ready to knock somebody out, and a couple of times I actually did. And she was always dressed to the nines, so you just never would expect her to be with me. But we walk out of the Wishing Well after a very nice victory dinner. And there was a valet parker bringing cars up, so Paul, a lot of racetrack people used to go there, obviously owners, trainers, whatnot. And Nick Zito was there with some owners having a nice celebration, and they were leaving at the same time as us with a bunch of other people. So everybody was walking up to the valet parker. And I was always, always knew how to, handle people that work. And, my car always got parked in a prime spot and always was brought to me first. Um, just always how it was and still is to this day. But I remember, asking the guy for my car, and as soon as he saw me, he's like, "Which one was yours again?" Which I don't know how I didn't remember. I was like, "The silver Duster." And people were coming out, oh, the black Mercedes, the white Cadillac, the brown Lincoln, the this, the that. And it was the silver Duster. And these cars all, there were like 3, 4 valet parkers. All these cars pulled up at the same time, and they all looked really, really fine and cherry. And my Duster, not so much. And the worst was when they all pulled up, and it sounded bad too. Didn't sound like it was definitely even going to get you home. Sounded like getting home was iffy, and that's if you lived close. If you lived far, it was really iffy. But the car pulled up, and I felt like, gut punch, because not only did it just look bad with all these people getting in their cars, but there's this beautiful girl getting in the car, and she can't even get in on the passenger side. The valet guy gets out, not realizing, goes to open the passenger door, looks, goes back in. I walk around to the driver's side. She's got to slide in, slide under the rope / seatbelt, close the door, drive off. I was like, oh, man. Those days are gone, fortunately. Hopefully forever. I never say forever because life is funny and you never know. And I've lived a roller coaster of a life that a lot of people wouldn't have even survived. But smoke cleared, at least for now. Still standing, at least for now. But now, and so people laugh, John, you go through so many cars, this, that. I've had, you name it, Ferraris, Porsches, Benzes, more than I could count, 7 Series, BMWs, you name it. I used to get a new car every year, every 6 months. Bang, 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 bang. For years and years and years. One day my dad sat down with me when he was still alive, and we tried to go through in the past 10 years every car I had. We couldn't even think of them all. Okay, we were like, oh yeah, what about this one? What about this one? The list got so long. Today, I'm a Maserati guy. Love Maseratis. Love the Quattroporte, my favorite 4-door car. It's absolutely a Ferrari 4-door luxury vehicle. Unbelievable. I got a Land Rover too, but a couple of others. But I like cars, always did. And maybe part of it is because of that gut punch I took coming out of the wishing well in that Duster that I will never forget. The demise of the Duster was, of all places, Aqueduct. Driving an Aqueduct one day, got off the belt, had to make a stop somewhere, was going down Rockaway Boulevard, okay? There was the little Aqua Rock gas station, Joey Orlando's gas station, right before the entrance, which is now where the casino is on Rockaway Boulevard. And I was about 3-4 blocks from there, and you'd make the right to go park into the employee lot. I was driving my dad to work. He was under the rope seatbelt, and the car just died. Okay, died on us, just seized up and died. We got out, we looked. We were only a couple of blocks from the racetrack. I'm like, what are you going to do? Should we call a tow truck? Should we call Joey? He'll come get it. My dad was like, heck with it. He opened the trunk, took out a screwdriver. We took off the license plate. We walked to the racetrack. That's where the Duster made R.I.P. Don't know what happened to it, who took it, never got a ticket, never got a fine, never got a phone call, left it there. And what became of it, I don't know. But anyway, I'm sorry for boring you with that story, but people knocking Nick Zito yesterday reminded me of it. Nick Zito was having dinner. They were getting into a Mercedes, but they were having dinner at the Wishing Well way back after winning a graded stake at Saratoga a long, long time ago. This is before he ever even had a horse in the Kentucky Derby. Mayan Asian was the horse. You could look it up. Yours truly was all in on Mayan Asian. So I won't be so fast to knock Nick Zito. He's lived a hell of a life and accomplished a hell of a lot in the sport of kings. And the Wishing Well story was a funny one to me. Anyway, moving right along. On the car today, and again, I'm sorry for boring you with that story if you didn't like it, but I was just thinking about it. There were 2 spots that I liked today. There would have been 3. I thought the maiden for Chad Brown, Expand the Map, was a cinch into PG Johnson on the grass. That horse is working with Manoon, that Rastafari horse that won the stake out of Breaking the Maiden the other day, holding her own against those older stakes caliber horses. I know she's a maiden, and I know she was 8-5 on the morning line, and I hate to take a maiden at a short price in a stake, but the way she's running against those older stakes caliber horses in the morning tells me that she could have handled these pretty easy and would have went forward big time off that first race. I would put a little gold star next to her name, maybe put her in your stable notes because she's working with older stakes quality fillies, so we'll see where she winds up. If she stays in by chance, different race on the dirt, so I leave it alone. I will note that the bottom horse, Mystic Eyes, who did win sprinting on the grass, is by McLean's Music, a sire that I like a lot. I think that's a fast horse. That's the horse that Todd put Johnny on early in the meet when Johnny was cold as ice, and they wanted to put him on what I call a hanger-on. Just hang on and you'll win. So maybe off the turf, that horse might go very, very well. But like I said, I leave those off the turf races. I don't want to say alone. I'll bet them, but I don't get too carried away with them, especially early in the day when I'm not really sure who's in and who's out, or how the track is playing. In the fourth race, 7 furlong race with only 5 horses in it. Competitive race, a couple of different ways you can go. I thought American Power, the 2 for Rob Atras, coming off a bad race, and we talked about that angle of horses being able to run well off bad races earlier in the meet, and we saw it hold true a couple of times. But I thought this horse had a distinct pace advantage in here. I thought he can get the lead under Jose Ortiz. I like speed, going 7/8 of a mile, because you don't have to go as fast and as hard and as guns blazing early as you do going 3/4 of a mile. I just thought this horse can get the lead and be very, very dangerous in here and tough to catch off the bad race. Second choice at 2-1 on the morning line in a small field, but I think you'll get that. You might even get 5-2 off that bad race, and they'll probably bet a Lower West and 3 Technique really hard. And I think this horse can maybe get a little bit of a pace advantage on those horses, and maybe go wire to wire in that spot. And there's another horse that I like a lot off the turf, and I like the horse on the turf, even though she's never been on it, and that's Motivated Seller in the 7th. But off the turf, I like her even more. I thought this horse was going to run a big race in the La Brea at Santa Anita, a grade 1. Didn't do it. I liked her in the race at Keeneland on November 7th. That was Breeders' Cup weekend when she got beat a neck by Merneath. I thought that was a much better race than it looked on paper, and it actually looked good on paper. I tossed the La Brea. Last time off the layoff in the slop, she got to the lead. She fell apart late. I'm willing to forgive that race. Back to a faster track, second off the layoff. I think she's the best horse in this race on the dirt. I don't know, and I would love to know, but I don't. I don't know if Chad put her in here thinking that it might come off because he's cagey and sharp and might have known that and knows the weather, or if he was just taking a shot with her on the grass, trying to look for some answers with this filly that I think he thought was going to be better than what she is, and she still has a chance to be. She's only got 5 lifetime starts with 2 wins, so she's still got time to come around. But I think she can run. And I think that she's better than anything in here if she runs her A and maybe even her B race. But I think she's going to go forward. I think she's a winner on the card today. So we'll see what happens with that and what kind of price we can get. She may be odds on when everybody comes 4-1, but maybe odds on because we don't know who's going to be in there and who's going to be out of there in this off the turf race. So those were my thoughts on the card. Sorry for the story. Hope some of you liked it and got a chuckle out of it. If you didn't, I apologize. But we'll be back tomorrow with more Saratoga Today. Come to Past the Wire TV. Find us, pastthewire.com. Find us. If you like the show, let us know. Give us a thumbs up. You know, all the feedback we got on doing more shows was all positive. Nobody had anything negative to say, which is pretty good nowadays, especially on social media, where you get all kinds of wacky comments and just some not nice people. So I appreciate the support. I appreciate the positivity. And thanks for making these videos fun to do and enjoyable to do, and hopefully enjoyable and beneficial for all of you as well. So we will reconvene in the AM with more of Saratoga Today from Past the Wire. So ciao for now. Nobody does it better.